hidden. Sorry about that. Here we go. Today we're going to be multiplying fractions. So go ahead and write that title down and fold your flip book back. My favorite part about multiplying fractions is that you do not need a common denominator. Do not need a common denominator. I forgot a letter. There you go. You do not need a common denominator. Yay! So it makes them essentially a bit easier than adding and subtracting fractions. This feels like it needs a flower. Maybe another little flower. Alright, so I'm going to give you a couple examples and then some U-tries. And if I get really crafty, the U-tries will also be embedded in the video, so you can try and put your answer into the computer. But we'll see how it goes. Alright, here's our examples. A couple different ones, and now that we know all our integer rules, you will have negative and positive fractions to multiply. So remember your integer rules for multiplication and division, not addition or subtraction since we're multiplying. So 1/2 times 2/3. We don't need a common denominator, so all we do is multiply straight across. So the numerators you multiply, the denominators you multiply. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 3 is 6. Ta-da! Easy. Whenever you see a fraction, you always think, can I simplify it? Is there a number that goes into both the top and the bottom to simplify the fraction? Because that's how we have our fraction answers, is most simplified. And I know that 2 can go into both 2 and 6, so I'm going to divide the top and the bottom by 2 to simplify my fraction to 1/3. Hey, Credible, I'm recording right now, so you can stay in here and listen, but talking to the Math 7 folks. Silly Credible, trying to come hang out during my recording. Alright, so let's do another example. Let's try, let's do 1/2 again. But this time we're going to multiply it by a negative mixed number, so -4 and 2/5. So this one is a little trickier. It's got a negative and a positive, so you got to remember what's a negative times a positive. And before you can multiply straight across, you do have to change to an improper fraction. So we've done this in adding and subtracting mixed numbers. To do that, you multiply the bottom times the top, bottom times the side, add the top. I'm sorry about that. Bottom times the side, add the top. So 1/2 stays the same, but you're going to now multiply it by 22, a -22/5. You don't need a common denominator, so go ahead and just multiply straight across. 1 times 22 is 22. 2 times 5 is 10, and you have a positive times a negative, so your answer is negative. I'm going to take a look, and I can simplify that. 2 goes into both 22 and 10, so you end up with negative. Don't forget the negative. Don't forget it. -11/5, and if you want to write it back as a mixed number, 5 goes into 11 one time with, 2 times, silly Mrs. James, with 1 left over, 1/5 left over. Don't forget the negative! Whew, okay. So I would accept either one of these answers on the test as improper or mixed number. Okay, so here's some for you to try. I'm gonna make a little dividing line here. So you try. Ooh, it's early in the morning. So here's your first one. Oh my goodness. Number 1, 2/3 times -4. So change -4 to a improper fraction. You can pause it. Hopefully there's a little question embedded in here for you to put on. But you're going to take 2/3 and actually change -1/4 to -4/1. So now you have a fraction. Multiply your numerators. So you've got 8. Multiply your denominators. You have 3. And don't forget the negative, because this is positive times a negative. I can't simplify it. Nothing goes into 8 and 3. But you could write it as a mixed number if you would like. It's negative. It goes into 8 twice with 2 left over. So you've got -8/3 or -2 2/3. Okay, one more. This is number 2. -1 7/8 times -2 2/5. So you need to change both of them. Well, I won't say anything because maybe you try it first. You can pause it. So hopefully you changed in both the improper fractions, which I almost gave away. So this becomes 8 times 1 is 8 plus 7. So -15/8 times, this would be 10 plus 2 is 12. So -12/8. Whew, those are big numbers. I'm wondering if I can simplify this a little bit beforehand, like do some cross canceling. So you look across diagonal to see if there's a number that goes into both 8 or 15. And unfortunately, there's none. But I do see a number that will go into 8 and 12. 4 is the biggest number that goes into both of them. So I'm going to cross them out. In my head, I'm going to divide both of them by 4. And 4 goes into 8 twice. So this becomes a 2. 4 goes into 8. I'm sorry. Into 12 3 times. This is now -3. So these are much nicer numbers to multiply. So I'm glad I cross-canceled. So -15 times -3 is a +45. And 2 times 8 is 16. My answer is going to be positive. I'm trying to think if there's anything that goes into 45 and 16. And I can't think of anything, so I'm going to leave it like that. Or you could change it to a mixed number. So if I know 15 would go into 45 3 times. So 16 is bigger, so it's only going to go in twice. And I'm guessing, let's see, how many left over? It'd be 32 minus 13/16. I think, if my math is correct in my mind. So I would accept either one of those answers. Your answer is positive because it was a negative times a negative. I will be putting some other websites if you want to have more instruction, or just watch this one as many times as you like. All right, Math 7, I'll see you in period 1 or 4 or 5 or 6. Have a good day. Bye.